It's about meditation. I was just curious, do you give a practice? Do you recommend a practice? How would we check our practice, or could we use you to check our practice to see if we're not wasting our time when we're sitting?
Yes, yes.
We can't waste one time.
Yes. So here is what I have to offer around this. Anything that breaks the habit of falling into hypnosis, into amnesia, is helpful. Whatever feels most right is what is the greatest benefit at the time. But for myself and what is offered here is that meditation is an attitude and not an exercise. It is a way of living. It is not something that is shut off when the body begins to move and interact. And this is not about the outcome. It is about the intention. The intention of true surrender. The intention to be still. The intention to release the habit that is built upon the avoidance of fear and the desire of getting. The intention to release these preconditioned habits. If it is going to create freedom, it must be constant. Now I realize that it does not become constant for most once there is the desire for it to be constant. But if that desire is true, it does take over. Now, what is the advantage of closing the eyes and having the body refrain from activity? The advantage of this is that it is easier to not become distracted, the less engagement with phenomenal activity. Eventually it does not matter. The byproduct is that one is always in meditation. In this, the recognition I am going to meditate is a hypnotic trance that brings the attention to someone that can never be found. I am going to do the dishes. I am going to take a bath. I am going to take a walk. It's all hypnosis. You are alive only now. There is the habit of the constant story which arises out of memory and projects into a future. The attempt of all meditation is to taste where you are alive. Where you are alive has no memory, because memory is only a story. In the absence of memory, what is the I? In the absence of memory, there is nothing to project the future. What begins to become recognized is that everything is doing itself. The I is a mental creation. The only reason why there is the experience of someone doing something is because the attention has fallen into memory, projected into a future, and lost where you are alive. For something to really root in the way that it breaks the trance, the intention must be constant. Not a setup for failure, not the desire for it to be constant. The intention, which is the remembering in the moment that recognizes there is a force which is wiser than the mind, that is always right. The recommendation is that every single thing in the life that has a tendency to be a distraction, it is to minimize that as much as possible. Anything in the life which seems to help facilitate, it is to orient in that way as much as possible. The relationship with the mind is an addiction. If one is addicted to alcohol, you cannot decide that for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night you will not have a drink and expect to get somewhere.
Ask. So the constant remembering seems like it takes some energy.
I know that's the way it seems. It seems like it takes enormous energy. Ultimately, what is recognized is that is just a trick of the mind. But I realize that it seems like it takes enormous energy. While it is seeming like it's taking enormous energy, the greatest thing you can do is give it the energy it takes.
I'm okay with it. No other game in town, right?
Yes, that's great.
No other game in town. I just want to clarify some language. So that's not to be thought of as efforting. Is that intention?
Well, what I would say is that so long as there is a relationship with the mind, there will be the experience of effort. The truth is that it is the release of effort. That is the truth. The truth is that we exist, most people, in a state of constant varying degrees of effort. Mind will come up with a trick intermittently and say, oh my God, this takes so much energy, it takes so much effort. But the truth is, every time there is remembering, it is the release of effort. The key, the most important key, is that the mind will set you up for failure. In this arena, what the mind does is it takes this idea of enlightenment and you sit with your stuff and its goal is that. It is like someone who gets out on the track for the first time, never having exercised, and decides he wants to run a marathon. And if he doesn't run the marathon, he fails. The beauty is in the conditioning. It has nothing to do with the outcome. It has to do with this moment. Every moment of remembering is beauty. When there is forgetting, whether it is 2 minutes or 2 days, it does not matter. It is as soon as there is the remembering that the possibility is born. At that moment, instead of the story of, oh my God, I failed, was gone for 2 days, It is at that moment to watch the mind's response. If that happens, then you get to see the wisdom in how long there was the experience that I was lost, because it will bring up a particular reaction of mind when witnessed out of what is still. It frees personal relationship. Efforting arises out of wanting to be where you are not. You can only be where you are. When there is the return of the possibility, that is when there is the intention to be true. If the intention is consistent, the periods of time of forgetfulness gradually decrease. It's the nature of it.
Right. And sometimes efforting shows up as another thought thing.
Yes,
It always shows up as a thought.
It's a very common thought.
Like, it can't be like this. This can't be it, right? Whatever this is, it can't be it.
It does not matter. It does not matter ultimately. The recognition is the sensations and thoughts and reactions in the body are meaningless. What happens over time with this erosion is the importance of that begins to fall away. It is not that the body and mind become free. It's that you become free of the body and mind. You do not become free of the body and mind by getting away from it. You just are in surrender to the process, to the wisdom. It does the work. It does the work.